guys, welcome to Routine Podcast. It's your girl Amira.
And I'm Kuya. Routine Podcast is where we chat about the struggles and insecurities that Amira, myself, and perhaps you guys are facing too as well. Simply by having conversations, asking questions, and listening.
Can help us all feel a little less lonely in this world, and sometimes that's all we need. Are you ready for it?
Check your ego and baggage at the door, and let's layer in.
All right, and in this episode, we are joined by a new guest member in our podcast. Say hello to Christine, guys.
Hi. Hi,
Hi,
Kuya and
Christine.
Myra.
Thank you so much for joining us. So why don't you give a little bit of description of who you are, what you do? I think would love our audience would love to know about that a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Christine Lau. People used to call me Christine or X-Teen. I'm actually investor relation professional by the day, a very passionate mother by 24/7. I wanted to say by the night, but it doesn't. Because I have I have a 2-year-old son who is very very clingy but super super cute and adorable. Other than that,
Awesome.
Other than that, it's
Awesome.
just us at
Yeah, so
home.
also for everybody else, Christine is also a dear friend of mine. And she's one of those people who I see is totally enjoying motherhood. And it's really, really great to see what you're doing with Xander. And absolutely, he is the cutest boy. So, anyway, jumping straight into the topic at hand, today
Mm-hmm.
we are going to talk about periods. And
Period.
Wow.
it's a very, very interesting topic for me because I think we have it every month, but it's not really something that even we as women discuss about ourselves, within ourselves, how difficult it is, what are the different challenges, the different tips and tricks to deal with it. So this is where we want to unpack it. And I do want to give a little shout out to one of my most favorite podcasts, local podcast in Malaysia, and it's Head Over Heels, hosted by Maggie Wang. She had a bunch of her friends come over and talk about periods, and I totally enjoyed it. And I just was like, why have we not talked about this with my friends? So here we are. Um, so let's get straight into it about periods. So what do you guys call your periods? Like, is there I like to say anti-flow, because the
Oh.
flow of yeah.
I
Do you guys have like a special thing, or like when you are signaling to your friends that hey, you have
just
had
call
a
mine period. Period.
Yeah, I just call it period. No,
Yeah.
nothing fancy.
mm,
Yeah. Or
that's
that
Mm.
time
good.
of the month. Sometimes that time of the month.
That time of the month,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do that as well. I think tend to use the word menstruation
Ah,
because it's a
Mm-hmm.
bit more clinical.
right,
If
right,
there are
right.
men
Okay.
around, if I'm in a work setting and I have
Right,
to
right.
explain something about, oh yeah, I'm going through my menses or menstruation, and I shy away from using the word period.
Right.
All right. I straight out tell everybody,
Pantai kan?
guys, this is not a good time.
That's good. Well done, Christine.
Iron woman. Okay, okay. And I was thinking about this, and I've known both of you, Christine for 20 years, Kuya for 10 years, but I for sure know that I have never asked you this question. How was it the first time you had your period? And it's crazy, right? Like we've known each other for so long, but it's just something that I don't know how you guys did. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe like Kuya, you want to go first? You look hella excited.
What? I can't really remember. I think I was 12 when I got my first period. It was like a few months before I got my first period, I was on a bicycle, and then I fell on my bike. You know when there's a bike and then there's that metal thing in the middle? Because I was like standing up when I was cycling, so I fell straight like that onto the rod. So then I
Oh
bled.
my God.
Yeah, then I bled. So then I remember when I bled, I went home and I was like, "Mom, is this a period?"
How much was the blood?
It
Like,
was it was not that much. It was like kind of like period blood, the quantity, the amount. So
okay.
then I went home. I was like kind of excited because like, Mom, like, have I gotten my period? Like, is this it? And she's like, no, it looks like a wound. Like, do you like? Because the blood was kind of like, I think it was like a wound kind of. Yeah, and then
Oh
she was,
dear.
yeah, she was like, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, I fell on my bike just now, but," and then I think it bled, and I bled, and then is this a period? And then she was like, "No, I think it's from your accident just now." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then a few months later, I woke up and I went to the toilet to go to school, and then suddenly, bam! Like I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like there's like blood, and then I just went to see my mom, and then she was like, "Oh
Mm.
yeah, just go get a pad." That's it. That was my memory of my period.
Okay,
What
just a
about
quick one,
yeah?
and this is for both of you before we get into Christine's story.
Yeah.
Did you guys know about period before you guys had that first period?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a well-known. It's very good. I went to SRK convent. They actually had this session. Like they group all the standard six, standard five students in one room, and then they talk about it. They taught us how to use pad. But when the real thing come, you will forget everything. Like you
Is
won't
that what happened?
remember. Yeah, you won't remember how to put on your pad. Well, let me jump in straight to my
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
on
for it.
standard six. Yeah, I had it in standard six. So I remember it was weekend, and I was supposed to help my mom cooking in the kitchen, and I told her,
Mhm.
look, wait, ma, I want to go pee pee upstairs. Then and in my household we speak Mandarin.
Okay.
I ran up and I screamed because my underwear is soaked. So that was the clue that I needed to go to pee. I told my mom, wait, I wanted to go to pee. But I ran back down and mama, she's cooking, with her shower cap on, frying fish. And I had to bang our kitchen door and say, Mama, Mama, I need your help. Then she said, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Then she said, I'm busy, I'm cooking, go away. If you want to come in, you come in and help me. Say, no, I got my period. 我来月经了. And then she said, whoa. So she paused, but she was deep frying a fish. So she
Oh my
cannot
god.
stop, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the
Oh
fish
my
will
god.
harm us. And I waited for her to finish the fish, and then she helped me out. That's why I remember so clearly because it was the time where she actually paused from her cooking activity and she went upstairs. She taught me how to put on a pad. And she gave me the best pad ever, which is like super long wing
Oh,
Wing.
nice. A wing one is good.
vortex pad. So it was
Yeah.
like the best, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So that was a really fun first memory for me.
And both of you, if I'm not mistaken, is the first girl, right, in the family. So you guys,
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
instead of your sisters, you guys are the first one to have that. And I
Experience it.
think
Yeah.
even for mothers, I think that's an interesting experience when their kid
Yeah.
first have and how you deal with it. So for
Yeah.
me, I think it's similar with you guys. It's for me, it was quite uneventful. I
Oh.
got mine.
Oh.
I got mine at 10. So
Oh.
a bit earlier
Brilliant.
on.
Okay.
I was a very tall kid, considering now I'm 160 centimeters on a good day. But growing up in primary school, I was always the
Grow
tallest
faster.
girl. Yeah, tallest
Yeah.
girl in class. So I developed,
Mm.
boobs very early. So by the time I was, I think 10, 11, I was already wearing a bra,
Mm.
and I was always the tallest.
Ooh.
So when people saw me, they were like, okay, yeah, her period is coming soon because she looked very mature for her age. So my mom prepared me ahead of time. I think when I was around 9, my mom sat me down and explained to me, okay, this is a pad, this is how you use it. And then she showed me, and then she'd be like, okay, I'm gonna put 2 in your school bag, right? What is
Okay.
going to happen is sometimes you will bleed. So if that happens, don't panic. Just use this, like how I told.
Mm.
So my mom thoroughly prepared me
Wow.
way before I it happened.
Super.
And when it happened at home, like in the
Yeah.
Okay.
morning, and I saw it. I didn't panic because I
Oh,
was ready. I was
right.
ready. I think I knew exactly where my mom kept the pad. I went, picked, did it, was done. My mom was at work, and then she came back. I'm like, Ma, like I got my period, and we
Wow.
trotted along as if it's like any
Oh.
other day.
Did she
So
give you a
yeah,
ceremony? Did she give you a ceremony?
no, not that
Mine
one.
was no. I know your mom, right? Your mom is
Mm,
always the most well prepared. The one that will plan ahead for everybody and will always celebrate every small wins and big wins. So I felt
yeah,
like this is something where she'll be like, let's celebrate about it.
perhaps she did, and I don't remember, and that makes me feel like I'm a horrible daughter. But I felt like it was uneventful, maybe because I didn't have the scared or freaked
Yeah.
out experience. It was just
Right.
like I was ready for it. I knew my body was going to go through this, so Macam,
Okay.
okay lah, it happened. Okay, next.
I see.
What did you guys? Was there any? Let's talk about physical first. Obviously, we all know with puberty, things grow sideways and inflate. Was that something that you experienced immediately after your period, or yeah, when did you guys,
Uh,
Christine.
change?
I from primary school, I have always been a sport woman. We participated in states level competition and things like that. But the only thing that I didn't like it when we move up to high school and so on, when we have period, it doesn't give me that, to go through my training.
Ooh, so you
It makes me
feel
feel,
your
yeah, it
level
makes me
down.
feel, yes, correct. I don't have that same level of energy. I feel extreme bloatedness, and I feel like I have bad mood swing. I just, I just don't have that passion and enthusiasm or determination to continue my training. Yeah, I'm sure Myra can relate to this because we went to the same high school. When it comes
Yeah,
to period, we don't like it. Like we didn't want to participate in any
yeah.
sports activities. We hide in our room. So I think it's a phase that everybody have to go through. And for me, my period flow was really very heavy. Actually, to be honest,
When you first started,
from the first when I got when it started, and it stabilized and normalized as I enter adulthood.
was it
I
before
would
your
say
pregnancy or after your pregnancy that you see the
it's
difference?
I would say when I reach mid 20s.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm,
Yeah,
mm, mm. I
yeah,
think
but
I went through the exact similar thing. I want to
hmm,
say that when I first got my period,
Mhm.
it was like 6, 7 days long.
Ooh, okay.
yeah,
And then where I am now in my 30s,
Yeah.
it's 4 days. 4 days lah max for me,
yes.
Oh,
which
okay.
I love
Okay.
because I don't have to deal with it for a week
Right.
long.
Right.
What about you, Kuya? Did you feel any changes physically? Or Christine mentioned about like the feeling of
Yeah,
not
man.
wanting to
Yeah.
manifest. So emotionally, I think that also has a
Yeah.
play in it. Mm.
I think for me, it's like the emotionally when I was 12, it wasn't, I didn't feel anything emotionally, but it was more of like physically. Like when you started developing boobs, do you guys get like the soreness? Like, so it was very uncomfortable for me. The development of boobs. It
Boobs,
was,
yeah.
yeah, it was very painful, like for me. And like, so I did not enjoy that experience. And then, because I think the development of that part, boobs, together with my period, was a very uncomfortable phase. Like I think I just felt like not myself, and I didn't know what to do with like new things developing on my
Up
body.
till up to
Up
what
till
age do you
up
remember?
Probably up till I was like Form 1. So I got my period when I was 12, right? So yeah, when I was 13, then I felt more. I still like didn't. I think not fully until I was like 17. Then I was like, okay, like I'm okay with like all this.
I
Yeah.
just also again on the boobs part that
Mm.
you shared. I don't remember for me being painful, but I remember
Mm.
I developed boobs a lot earlier when I
Oh
was
right,
10. But because I was one of the first few ones around
right.
my friends to do it, I was very insecure. I felt
Oh,
like everybody was looking at me, and my mom or like people around me would notice that I started to hunch
right.
Yeah, yeah. I
because
did
I
that
was
too. Yeah,
trying to
Yeah.
hide like me wearing a bra. I mean, when you wear baju
yeah,
kurung, public school, the white color one, you
yeah.
Ah,
can like, yeah. So that was one thing that I do remember that I had to deal with around 10 to 12. This
right.
insecurities that my body is changing.
What about you,
But
Christine?
how do you cope with that changes? Now you're
Yeah.
so confident about your body.
Yeah.
Ya lah itu teenager. I mean, that was like a while ago, right? Well, we still have body insecurities now, but it's definitely different. It looks like different. But anyway, just bring this back down. So we've kind of touched a bit on the topic, but now I kind of want to zone in on the different trends. Christine alluded to this when earlier on it was a lot longer, and then now it's a lot shorter. So, what are some of the differences when you first had your period in teenage years, and then in your 20s, perhaps, and then now perhaps in your 30s? How is it different? How are you managing it differently?
I think the flow and the thickness of our period blood really changed, evolved. As you grow older, the things that you eat are, much more nutritious, I would say, less fatty, less unhealthy. So your flow becomes, I would say, cleaner, not
Mm.
that sticky. That matters because I
What?
actually look it
Like
up.
what
I
food?
actually check with
Yeah.
Gynae.
Mm.
When it really depends on the food that you eat as well. Because if you're dehydrated, you will realize that your period becomes super sticky and super thick and it's so uncomfortable, especially if you wear pad. I don't like to wear pad. I use tampon. Thank God for that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, but again, I feel like as we grow older, we are more educated, so we're more careful with the things that we eat. So that plays a very important factors to how your period evolve, right? But for me personally, after I got married, and after I start using birth control more effectively, like just to manage our own expectation with regards to family planning, that regulates the period as well. It regulates your
Mm.
hormones.
This is
Yeah.
interesting. I have never used birth control, but I know there are effects, good and bad. Obviously, the first one is that you're able to manage your family.
Yes. Yeah.
Will there? Let's go into like the bad effects first. Is there anything that you didn't like about taking birth control?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Or,
the hormone cycles will be very unpredictable actually because it will give you effects like breakouts. Your skins will have extreme breakouts at times, or when you're having period, you have hot flushes,
Oh wow.
things like that.
mm.
Yeah,
Do you mind
but
sharing which brand or which pills or what kind of?
oh, I only use one. So
Okay.
they insert it to, yeah, it's Implano. But after my bad experience with it, I decided not to use it because it gives me really bad pimples, and I'm not the sort of person who have pimples.
Oh,
I don't I don't usually
ah,
have
okay, okay.
pimples.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. And how old were
yeah,
you
and
when you
it
started taking the birth control?
28. So I got married at the age of 27. I think it was a
Ah.
bit too young to start a family, and I wasn't ready yet.
Mm.
So I have it for a year, almost a year.
Mm.
My period was okay. It's the hot flushes, I get extremely sweaty, even when I'm
Oh.
in air
Mm,
conditioned room. Yeah, it's not pleasant
mm,
lah, ketiak bas and everything. When I go out and meet people,
mm.
so like, hey, ketiak bas. So I had this period. I had this
Wi-
period where I feel so insecure about myself as
Yeah,
well.
armpit. Especially if
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're at
all
work,
this
right?
like
Especially if you're at
bodily
work, and then you're like, oh god, okay, okay, okay.
KKB, ketiak basah.
Hi, KKP. Yeah, but and the beauty is your period will regulate again after you give birth.
Oh,
So maybe we can
Ah,
touch on that a little bit
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
details.
yeah. That's definitely like something that I want to go is both something that Kuya and myself have no
yeah,
experience
yeah.
in. So but then let me kickstart like what I've seen through the changes throughout 31 years, 32 years of my life. So when I
Mm,
was a
Yeah.
teenager, I'm also a pet user before. That was
mm.
when I first started getting my period.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I wanted to share is that I don't think I managed the hygiene very well when I was a teenager. We were in boarding
Mhm.
school.
Yeah.
I just felt like some of the habits that I have.
What were the habits?
I'm just gonna be vulnerable here and
Uh-huh.
just admit that I was that teenager that would have underwears with period stains, just
Yeah,
cause I just would.
Isn't that
Okay,
totally normal?
yeah, that's normal though.
I
Everyone has stains, no? Like
Dude, your expectation of normal human being is very high.
you won't just
uh
like stay there nicely, it won't affect your underwear, no?
nah,
I think
I think
leakages happen all the time.
I know,
It's
and
like
then
I
I,
remember I'll ask Maya, bocor tak, bocor tak? I'm just
yes,
walk in front of
yes.
you. Can you check
So
bocor tak?
so that is a big part of my experience having period as a teenager is constantly having a period buddy, whoever is a
Yeah.
friend to like kind of like check and make sure that I am sorted.
Right.
So I had like a lot of underwear that were stains. Of course, I will wash them, but I
Mm.
don't know if you guys
Mm,
have the same thing. You wash as much as you can, but sometimes it just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And
I
it's a
know.
perfectly good underwear, so I don't wanna. Then I will rotate it so that that underwear is what I wear when I have my period only.
Ah, okay.
Smart.
And I use wing pads when I was younger as a teenager. I think that that helped a lot. Now that I think about it, I just wish that somebody would have told me just change your pad every 2 hours. if you don't want to bocho, if you don't want to leak, just change it more frequently. Nobody told me. Now that's what I do, but nobody told me when I
Oh,
was a teenager, and that could have, because I was, saving my pets. Weirdly enough, because I didn't
right.
buy my own pets, right? It's
Ah,
my mom. So yeah. Anyway, if
okay.
anybody's listening and you guys are still leaking, change your pads every 2 hours. That will help. That will help greatly. And then in my mid 20s,
Mm.
I started tracking my period. Do you guys track your period in an
Of
app?
course.
I don't.
I highly recommend. I
Of
mean,
course, Christine does it.
of course.
Yeah. So I did it when I was starting with 25. So now I have like almost a decade of data sitting, and that has been really helpful in
Mm,
understanding when I have my breakouts, when I have a bad day because of
mhm,
my PMS. And usually I couldn't attribute it to anything, but once I start tracking, then I can
Mhm.
start looking at that. Oh, actually my period is coming in a week. That's why I am like breaking out right now. Yeah. So yeah, so that's why in my 20s, I think now Kristen said we eat better, more aware of what we are taking in. So I still am trying to find out what is the best way lah. But I would say when I was younger, my period took over my life. If I have my
Really?
period, yeah, if I have my period, I'm always scared because I'm leaking and I have to deal with dirty underwears, and then I have to deal with like feeling yucky.
Right.
But now in my 30s, because I know it's coming and I know what are the different ways, I feel a bit more in control,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and know what to do, what are the remedies when I hit into different period funks.
Oh, and you said
Yeah.
you mentioned just now that you felt like yucky mood or like uncomfortable. Like, do you mind like elaborating a bit more on like some of the examples of
Yeah,
yucky mood?
okay.
Yeah.
And yuckiness for me is negativity lah, negative emotions. And this is something that I have done research in because it was affecting me quite bad.
Mm.
I would wake up and I don't know how to explain it. You have bad days, you just
Mhm.
feel unmotivated, you feel depressed, you feel sad, and like there's no hope. This
Mm.
might be an extreme case. Maybe I
Mhm.
have more affinity
Wow.
towards anxiety, so I have that. But what
Yeah.
actually happens is a biological reaction when you are going through your cycle and it's about to get into your period. So this is your PMS period. Your level of serotonin
Mm.
decreases, and this then affects, actually causes sadness in your neurons.
Serotonin is a good feel good hormone, is it? Is that the one?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of
Yeah,
hormones.
that's a good.
Some of that, yeah, I personally would not label anything as feel good or feel bad,
Mm,
but
mm,
just different hormones have different
mm.
effects. And then it's biologically proven that when we go through our periods, that level is mismatched, and then that is causing you to feel a certain type of way because this hormones affects our brains and affects how we
Mm.
feel. And when I researched that and I understood that and I match it with my period calendar, and then everything makes sense. I'm like, oh, I am not a bad person. I am feeling this way because my body is going through this. I cannot, there's nothing that I can do. So then I'm able to be kinder to myself,
Okay,
and
that makes sense.
like sort of blame it on my period and my body. So it's not you. It's not, you're not a bad person. You're just
Right.
But I'm very
going through.
surprised actually that you are very responsible in tracking your own emotions from earlier on. Because I must tell you, ladies,
Mm-hmm.
your mood swing will be 10 times, 100 times worse when you're having you're carrying your life,
Pregnant.
a baby inside you.
Oh my god. I cannot.
I
Yeah.
heard. Okay,
Oh
we're
my
good. We're good.
god.
It's
So
okay.
you should.
Yeah, don't
It's
worry.
good that you're developing this habit, and also then you will know how to take control of your mood, your emotions, because you don't want to affect your husband then when you are
Ooh,
pregnant
that's
later.
such great
Oh.
advice.
I want to
Okay.
dive deeper into
Okay.
that. Yeah, but like I think
Okay.
Christine, like what were your kind of like changes like from your teens and then 20s and then after being a mom?
Yeah. Like in general, despite the flow, the
Yeah.
heaviness and the thickness of the flow,
Mm.
it changes over time.
Mhm.
But I am blessed. I don't get major cramps. The
Oh.
only thing that I get is I don't feel comfortable around my tummy or I have backaches. That's about it actually.
Oh.
That is also according to my gynae, that is also how period is supposed to make you feel. if you have severe cramps, if you have severe headaches, migraines, you need to check it out, seek medical treatment and find out what's the underlying cause.
And what about you, Kuya? What have you kind of seen the different trends or changes between when you first got it all the way up to where you are now?
I think like when I was a teenager, basically like from like 12 up until my 20s, like early 20s, I was had this like craving, like really bad craving, like where I would just want to eat like fatty foods. Like right before my period, like the night before, like a few days before, I will like go on like a mega binge and like go on and started eating like fast food, and like it's like, and then I'll justify it by saying, yeah, because like I can eat all of this because I'm getting my
Mm-hmm.
period, so I deserve it. And then when the period comes, then it got worse because I was eating really unhealthily. So then it was I felt very heavy the first few days, like very demotivated. But then I feel bloated, like seriously bloated, like everything, my face, my body. But I don't necessarily look bloated, but I feel bloated. Like sometimes I would go to in front of the mirror and be like, oh, my stomach's so bloated. And then like my husband would be like, what? Yeah. So, but I feel bloated.
Okay, so did you this feeling?
Yeah.
This feeling that you have, was it something that you noticed off the bat as soon as you got a
Mm,
period, or is it like a process
oh,
before you started listening to your body?
I think the binging part was I noticed it from when I was 12. Like getting like super hungry to like eat was definitely when from I was 12. So like the craving for carbs and everything. And then that was up until actually from like up until my mid 20s, up until I was like 25, 27, until and then I got married at like 29. And then I started eating better when once I move out of my parents' house. I think I have my own kitchen, I can prepare my own food.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that my in the past few years, my craving kind of like stopped. So like what shocked me was that when I started eating better and listening to my body, it's that I don't get any urge to like eat like crazy and before my period. So like sometimes I'll wake up and then I'll just get my period and I'm just like, like I didn't get any cravings, no signs, nothing. So that was the biggest, I think, shift, because when I
That's
changed,
awesome.
yeah. So like I think what Christine was saying, how like your food has a lot to do with it. I didn't know that like with your
Yeah,
period. So that was very very
yeah.
like helpful for me. I noticed, yeah.
Can
What?
we then just get a sense from the both of you? What kind of food are we talking about that is good to
That's
eat?
good. Red date tea.
Wait, what, sorry?
Red date tea.
Red
Red
date
date
tea.
tea.
Okay. I
Oh,
feel like
So,
it's one of those herbs that you get in a Chinese apothecary.
yes.
Yeah,
I,
oh,
I
right.
I think I believe in all these things, right? These
okay.
herbs, mumbo jumbo thing. But also
It's not mambo
thank goodness
jumbo.
for my mom.
Oh,
When I first got my period,
yeah.
she boiled red date tea that very first day.
Oh,
And
wow.
she's the one who taught me that, when you're having period, it means your body is cleansing your blood, and you need to drink red date, so that it helps to improve and, to complete that blood circulation process.
Oh,
And whenever I'm getting my period, I will try to get myself a red date tea. If you can't get it, you just buy it from store. Sometimes they sell a pre-packed one,
oh,
and it comes in a packet.
right.
And
It's already boiled. You just
you
drink it.
drink it when you're having it,
Or
when you're having
before.
your
Yeah, you
period,
drink
or
it.
before.
Yes, you
So
drink it when you're having period.
okay.
Because if you drink too much on a regular day,
Yeah.
it's very heaty for your body. Then you get breakouts. So don't take it.
Oh,
Don't only take it when you're having period, or when you're having in confinement period. Yeah,
right. So it improves
Mm-mm-mm.
your
it's to
circulation.
improve your blood circulation.
Ah,
What about
okay.
you, Kuya?
Yeah.
What food
Oh,
did you
sorry.
find works for you?
I think generally my body, this is my observation. I don't know if it's true. I'm no expert, but like just from my experience, my body doesn't do well with a lot of carbs, which is the thing that I crave the most before period, right? So like I want to eat like
Yeah,
carbs, like fries, potatoes, blah blah blah. But then
Mm-mm.
I noticed that if I eat more kind of like protein and like good fats, then it kind of like regulates my energy levels, and like my period just becomes like smoother. Like, oh, I have no PMS, nothing. But if I binge the few days before my period, then my on the day of the period, like I'll get super stressed out. I feel horrible. I feel so grumpy that I want to punch someone. Like, but when I never, yeah. So now I don't really get the urge anymore. I think increase my protein and fats,
yeah.
the good fats.
Mm.
But actually, I think the number one enemy that we need to avoid during period is caffeine and alcohol. If you have
Oh,
severe bloatiness,
Because
yes,
of
really? But
caffeine.
I love caffeine.
yeah. No, no, Amoy
Okay.
sekalian, you cannot have coffee during your period because you already feel like you're 2 months pregnant when you're having a
Yeah.
period. If you
Yeah.
have coffee, if you have alcohol, it will make you feel worse. Not just with the bloatiness here, but you kentut banyak. Okay, I remember. I'll tell you
Oh.
this, and I'm not shy to share this. This is like the most embarrassing story ever in my life. I was on my period. I have extreme perut, super kembungness, and I went to cinema with my husband, right? We were watching Ola Ola Bola.
Okay.
Dude, we were just cuddling on the seat, and it was Ola Ola Bola scene where everybody was super emotional, intense scene. There was no laughter, it was quiet. I was gonna move myself in a right position, but the moment I lift up my leg, I let out a huge one. And the whole cinema could literally hear my fight. But everybody laughed instead of crying because even though the scene was so emotional, everybody was just
Oh
laughing
my
at me.
god.
So that is the
Oh my
reason
god.
why, ladies, please take care of the food that you are going to take before your period. Avoid caffeine. And
Um,
if you're tracking 1 or 2 days prior to your period, have some ginger tea, have some peppermint tea,
To help
and
with
then
your
during your
okay.
period.
to help with
Yeah,
your
yeah.
angin
So
ya.
you
Angin. Ibuang
Mm,
help
angin,
with your angin.
right? I read
again.
Yes,
somewhere.
yeah, yeah.
I
I
have
live by
never
this philosophy.
Oh.
I've never really used food or what I intake to like regulate my periodness, whatever you
Oh,
call
okay.
this. So this is interesting. These are really good information. I definitely am going to try and see if that affects
Yeah.
how eventually I have my period. But we spoke a lot about cramps and PMS.
Mm.
So I just want to focus a bit more on that side effects. I think when you talk about period, you cannot not talk about cramps and not talk about
Yeah.
PMS. So
Yeah.
before we go into that, I'm just going to give a bit of a definition on what premenstrual syndrome is, which is
Mm.
PMS, and I got this through via Harvard Health Publishing website. So premenstrual syndrome (PMS) is a collection of symptoms that many women experience during 1 to 2 weeks before a menstrual period. These symptoms can be physical, psychological, and emotional, and they disappear as soon as you start your menstrual bleeding. Um,
Okay.
and this is another part that I think is interesting. Researchers actually are not certain what caused PMS. And the most popular explanation is that PMS are related to cyclical changes in hormones
Right.
and certain brain chemicals. So going back to, when we go through our period, we go through our cycle, different hormones are at different levels throughout the
Mm.
28 days. So because of that, that affects certain other chemicals in our body. So because it's uncertain what is the cause to PMS, doctors don't actually know how to prevent it. They can only treat the symptoms.
Right.
So that's why leading a healthier lifestyle, because it regulates your hormones, blah blah blah.
Right.
But it doesn't actually like attack the actual core of the issue. And a big, I think, myth that I do want to share here is a lot of people equate PMS and cramps as the same thing. PMS
Mm.
is not cramps.
Mm.
That's how I would see it. PMS happens 2 weeks before or a week before. Cramps is that chibai feeling that you get when you get your period.
Yeah. And
So
well, it has something to do with your uterus, actually, the cramps. Like,
Oh.
there might be some foreign object in your uterus, the tightening of your uterus wall. So my gynae say you're not supposed to get massive cramps or these side effects during your period, like migraines, backaches. If you do, you have to go get medical treatment because then you need to find out what's the underlying cause of your cramps, right? Is
Right.
there a cyst? Is there a fibroid? Is there any pills that you need to take to regulate those pains or to take out those foreign objects from your
mm,
uterus and so on? Yeah, but
mm.
I'm blessed. I don't have cramps, guys.
Ever?
Like from hardly ever. What I have is very mild cramps.
Mm.
Just pop a pill and I'm okay. Like my
Mm.
backache is also very tolerable. It's just that it's the perut kembungness that I really didn't like it because I tend to fight a lot and it's so
Is
unpleasant.
that the only remedy? You just have to fart it out. There's nothing
That it's your
else.
your body is so full of angin. Like
Yeah.
I have a lot of angin. Yeah.
Okay. What about you,
Uh,
Kuya? Cramps
Uh,
for you?
Cramps, I think similar to Christine, nothing's too severe. I think that I can't manage. I think also with time it got better. But like I think once I stopped the binging the carbs thing, I think that will always contribute to cramp, but it's nothing severe lah. So it's just like okay-ish. But now in my 30s, I don't get cramps. More like sometimes back aches, but nothing unmanageable. And I've never taken the pill, the pink pill to manage the pain.
The Panadol
I don't.
period.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
So I'm gonna be the party pooper here. I still have intense cramp.
Okay.
Have you been to gynae though? Have you find out further?
I have had multiple different checks, and I think this is actually something that I'm gonna ask you guys a bit later. So when I was younger, pain cramps was really really bad. I had a fainting episode once in KYS when I was in high school because I had period pain. It has progressively gotten a lot better. It used to be throughout the whole period I would have it. Now I want to say in the last 5 years, it's only the first day. It's only the first day that for sure I will get cramps. I have definitely taken day off from work because I just need to like deal with this and I just need to be on my own. I have a period survival kit, and that includes a hot water bottle, Panadol, and just regular Panadol. I don't even use Panadol pill or like just regular Actifast.
Actifast, okay.
Yeah, it starts really cepat.
Where do you get the cramps? Sorry, where do you get?
In my uterus lah. So I might have to fact check this, but what happens when you get period cramps is because when you're having your period, your uterus wall is falling because it was building up for insemination for you to start a baby, right? And then you don't have any sperm in you, so they're like, oh, okay, baby is not coming, so we are going to crumble the wall that we have built for the baby, and that is the pain. How I would describe it, I always say to my boyfriend who's like trying to understand and help me, I'll say, imagine like you have World War II happening and there's just like people shooting and like, you know, there's fire and like kabloom. That's like how I feel that's going on in my uterus. There's World War IV happening in my uterus when I'm doing it.
Oh dear.
So I have a hot water bottle.
Okay.
Take a Panadol as soon as I get it. As soon as I get my first period, I'm like, let's do this. Get all that ready. Drink a lot of water. And water helps me to also kind of like pee a lot more. I feel like that helps the feeling of relief. And then I will like sleep in fetal position because that's the most comfortable position. So and that is for one day and only one day. And weirdly enough, the first day I don't get a lot of blood. There's still blood, but not a lot, but intense pain. And then the second day is when there's a lot more blood, but then there's no more pain. So
but your cycle is shorter now, right?
Yeah, the cycle is shorter. Yeah. So sometimes I'll be in the toilet, right, and I see like there's no blood, but I'm in intense cramp. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why you give me so much pain, but there's no blood? So it's something that I still
have anyone told you that if you have bad period cramps when you're pregnant later, it will be worse?
I've heard multiple different variations, and that's why I would prefer to go to a specialist to listen to what exactly is the symptom. You guys heard of PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome?
Yeah.
And actually what you were speaking of before, Christine, is one of the symptoms of PCOS is when you have cysts growing in your ovaries. And I'm going to refrain from talking too much about PCOS. It's a very serious condition and there's very different varying reasons to it. And if anybody out there is experiencing any kind of pain, my best recommendation is please go to a gynae and get actual medical. Don't ask us. Thank you. But yeah, I think it got progressively worse. It got worse and then it got progressively better. So I am in a better position, especially now I know how to handle it. And some good days, some good month, I won't get cramps on the first day. And I'd be like, what the hell did I did that I don't get it this time? I still don't know what the answer is. So it's going to take more of me learning my body and listening, paying attention to what happened. So yeah, so that's mine. Do you guys have any like period survival kit like how I mentioned? Or did you
No,
guys
but
have
now
one?
that you have mentioned, I think I should have one too. But it will comprise with a lot of chocolates.
Mm, okay. What
Yeah,
food will you go
but
to?
okay, I do have a strategy when I'm having period, and I don't fight with my husband a lot,
Okay.
but and I hate it when he used the excuse PMS. So he is a guy who always associate PMS with cramps. You know, like what you mentioned, there are two different things, right? One is moods, one is physical pain. So when I track, because I want to tell him my period is coming tomorrow, so please behave, okay. And yeah, but I will just, yeah, we are two adults, right, very mature. So you, if I have things that I refuse and I prefer not to talk about during my period cycle, you have to understand, because I don't want to get
Yeah.
emotional and I don't want to say things that I don't mean later.
Got
So
it.
these, they are reasons why.
Amen. Amen, sister. I am the
Wow.
same. But can I
Wow.
share a tip?
Yeah.
So you know how in regards to this, because I also have to manage expectations of
Right.
partners, when we are
Right.
going through this cycle. So with my period tracking app, my boyfriend can also sync to my calendar. So
Are
my
Hmm.
you kidding?
boyfriend,
Oh wow.
yeah. So because I am tracking it, right? My boyfriend see all that data. So he
Yeah.
actually knows, can look on his own phone when my cycle is. And bless his soul, I do think I'm very, very lucky to be with this man. He really cares. And he wants to make sure that
Oh.
I have a good experience. So whenever I feel, I'm telling him, oh, I don't know why I feel so lazy. And he'll be like, da, 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 da. Okay, 1 week before your birthday, 1 week before your period. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. You're supposed, your body is
Oh.
doing.
Awesome. Oh my
So
gosh.
have a think about it. I think the men in our life want to be a part of this, right? They care about us. They want to be a part of it, and sometimes they don't know how to, and they don't understand. Like even like cramps versus PMS. What
Yeah.
comes with PMS? So again, having conversations, whether it be with friends or even with your
Exactly.
partners,
Yeah.
I think there are ways to include them in the struggle that we have,
That's true.
and
Yeah.
we'll feel a lot better about
It's
it.
interesting how the both of you track. How long have you been tracking? Because I don't track. I just like when it comes, like, oh, okay, it's here.
Go with the flow.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
so
just like,
chill. We so now you know we are two very organized people when it comes to women's health.
yeah.
Myself and Myra.
Yeah.
Wow. So like you find
I
it
think the reason is we want to take control of our own emotions and we don't want to affect our, better half.
people around us.
It
Okay,
gets
okay.
ugly, it gets really bad. Hey, sometimes it's
Yeah.
nice to be pampered. It'll come with comfort food, and
Yeah.
then during your period, yeah, it'll come with tom yum soup.
Okay. And you find it super helpful to manage expectations of your
Mm.
partners. I see. Okay, okay. Because I think
Because I can get nasty. I can get nasty
ah
when my mood is off and with
Mhm.
PMS. But sorry to cut you off. For you,
yeah.
what's yours, Kuya, in terms of PMS? How you
Uh
manage it?
I think like other than the because I'm pretty good at like suppressing my emotions in general. So like sometimes I do feel like punching someone, right? Like I mentioned just now, that's the feeling that I get. Sometimes I want to punch someone, but I usually I'm able to like suppress it. But there were times with my partner, like with my husband, I'll just tell him that I'm on my period. I wanna fight. Can we just pick something to fight about? I'll just tell you like I just feel like fighting, but like, you're not doing anything wrong, so I can't fight. And then he's like, oh, okay, let's
Oh.
yeah. Like, and then he will like, okay, then we'll make fun of that situation. Like last time, I'll just pick a fight and then pick a fight lah, like one topic, and then I'll just start fighting. It was quite intense. When we were in my early 20s when we were together, but then now because my symptoms are not that bad, so I just tell him, I feel like fighting, but I know it's just my period talking. And then he's like, yeah, I know. But there was like a funny incident at work. So I was in Sabah for work with my two male colleagues. So I think I was on my first day or something like that. And then I literally had like a meltdown at work in front of them because like we were supposed to do certain tasks at this factory in Sabah. And then I think they were like a bit lax. So I was the project manager for that project. And then they were a bit lax. So I like literally went out because they were smoking. And so I went out. I was like, what are you guys doing? We're running out of time. We need to do. We need to do this. And it's not done yet. This is not done yet. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you working on? And then they like literally, like they were so shocked. And then like literally after I had that session, they started working, and then 40 minutes after that, I was just like, "Oh, guys, I'm so sorry about just now. I think I'm on my period, but I'm fine now." And then I was like totally fine, and they were like, "Oh my god, like you," but we're friends. Actually, we're like all friends, so that's why I was
Yeah.
comfortable enough to like,
Yeah. I
yeah,
would say that good on you that you are brave enough and courageous enough to just able to admit what is going
yeah,
on with you.
yeah,
And just say that, yeah, that was a moment of weakness that I
yeah.
lashed out.
Yeah, and they took a photo of me lashing out, literally, while I was lashing out. So like they took a photo, and then they created a meme. They're like, "Okay, so like Kuya, we know when you're getting your period," and then like
Oh
whenever like
my
my period is
God.
like,
So,
cause
how do you
But that's
how do you
good. That's a
feel?
good
How do you feel about
strategy.
all this though? But the way that your colleague treat you by taking your picture and
because I don't, I'm friends with them. Like these two guys, they're like kind of like
mm,
my, not, we're not super close, but we're like good friends.
yeah.
So I'm
Okay, so
more
the comfort level,
yeah,
the comfort level makes it okay for you to also just
correct.
open up and tell you
Yeah,
what's going on, and
yeah,
they are able to respond.
yeah,
But it's good that
yeah.
I wish I
Yeah.
have done that, but there are times that I have lashed out. I just walk
Ah,
away and like hated myself. Like, why the hell did I do that? Like I had no self control.
right, right. Have you
So
guys lashed
riding
out
on
at work?
what Kuya, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Riding on what Kuya have said.
Mm,
To me, okay, I have a very close girlfriend, Hazreen.
mm,
So we used to work together in the office,
mm,
and we deal with a lot of, alpha and betas, right? In the office,
mm,
we
mm.
have PMS calendar. Tell everybody,
Oh,
PMS calendar. This is coming, so behave. Don't say
Mm-mm.
things that you don't want us to lash back at. Just understand us so that we understand your need as well when it comes to the time where you want us to respect you or to understand you. So we practice this PMS calendar thing, just so
wow.
our colleagues and our co-workers, our boss will know when is the best to optimize our time or skills, right? And there are times where we want to sneak out a little bit to get some, longer lunch hour just to
Yeah,
fulfill our needs and etc. It works. So ladies, maybe you
wow.
should
It's
consider this.
it's really
Yeah.
great that your office like environment is allows you to kind of just talk about PMS in a very matter of fact manner. You know,
Yeah,
there's a
Mm,
calendar, and
yeah.
I'm
yeah.
guessing that
But not everybody can do that. Yeah.
not everybody's. Yeah, I don't think I am comfortable yet, at least from where I work, to be doing like that. But I
Mm,
am trying to bring up the word period or menstruation in my, like, sometimes when I do want to take a day off,
yeah.
instead of a family emergency, which is
Yeah.
what what I would do is I would sometimes tell my boss, hey, it's I'm just having my menstruation and I'm having
Oh,
cramps, need to take the day off. I'm trying to normalize it myself because
right.
I am the one young a bit
Uncomfortable.
awkward talk to my boss about my
So
period when
actually, I
I
think
should
it's
be.
us who make it awkward. Our
Mm-hmm,
male
perhaps.
colleagues, they are fine with it. If you want to share to what we allow them to know, then they will actually match our level.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially male colleagues who have wives
Yeah.
Yes.
or kids, older kids who are going through this, most of them actually
Yes.
know exactly what to
Yeah.
deal with because
Yeah.
their
Yes.
wives are doing it. But you're right, that's a really good point. It takes us first to share
Mm.
Mm.
for us to get the feedback that we want. All right. Moving on to what the nitty gritty of pregnancy. And this is like super, super exciting because it's something that we probably will go through as well, Kuya and
Yeah.
myself. So the first one that I want to ask, what are the changes in your body? What happened? Everything lah, the good side, the not so good side, the very ugly side. What happens when you are getting pregnant,
Mm.
on your pregnancy, and then perhaps after? What are some of the
Yeah.
key events?
To think how pregnancy only takes 9 months, but it changed a lot to a woman's body, honestly. You can balloon out. So I actually, throughout the whole 9 months,
Yeah.
I had a really smooth and wonderful pregnancy journey. I didn't have much morning sickness. Again, this comes back to how I have this tour, right? Where I used to think if I don't have that severe cramps during my period, my pregnancy will be smoother than usual.
Oh.
But again, you need to check this fact with your gynae. But that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's a mental mindset for me. So I enjoy my pregnancy.
Wow.
The good thing is I also have very glowy hair and skin. I didn't get
Nice.
any breakouts. I didn't
Yeah.
have any body acne. I have extremely good appetite. Unfortunately, that's how I balloon up to 82. 82,
82.
Yes.
Wow.
It's really not fun because I remember not enjoying how the amount of people telling me, Christine, you are huge, Christine, you are big. Because at the same time, yes, I recognize the fact that I'm big, but at the same time, I also expect everyone around me to know that I'm on my pregnancy journey. So I'm allowed to binge. But it's something that I need to deal with it myself because I should be in control of what I'm eating. That's my experience. The ugly part is as I grow into the middle part of the journey, so it's 4 to 5 months
Okay.
of the pregnancy. I think that's where I really have more energy because I'm in my second trimester. I tend to, work out more and I also clean up the house, I cook more, I eat more. At the same time, you are able to do all the things because you can't go out that often. So for me, I tend to clean up all the unwanted, I tend to complete all the projects that I have left behind. But the ugly thing is that cravings during pregnancy is real.
Oh.
So having said that, I actually have bad cravings.
What's the weirdest one?
The weirdest one, oh my god, it's my ham choy soup story.
What's that?
Ham
Yes,
choy.
let's get into the hang choy soup story. Let's go.
So ham choy is salted vegetable,
Okay.
and ham choy soup meaning it's a soup, sauteed vegetable soup, right? I googled about this. Why do pregnant women have cravings? But I think it has something to do with mood swing as well. So when you're huge and you're hungry, but at the same time you're so emotional, and I keep on expecting my husband to please me when I'm pregnant. Yo, I'm pregnant now. You have to treat me like a queen. So when I was craving for ham choy soup, he asked me. I was on my way back. What do you want for dinner? I said, I want ham choy soup. I was driving and he said, I can't find ham choy soup. He said, just find ham choy soup. I want ham choy soup. So when I got home,
Where did one find ham choy soup, by the way? I wouldn't
just
know.
grab it or something. I expect you to do some research, right?
Okay.
So I reach home and then it's about time to have dinner and it wasn't ham choy soup on the table. It was mushroom soup. Because then he would tell me, this is the best soup that I can find. There's no ham choy soup. I had a massive meltdown. Like I was literally crying while eating. Like a little kid, like how my son would do, crying and eating that mushroom soup. And I was like, how can you not find a ham choy soup for me? I want ham choy soup. Where's my ham choy soup? It was so embarrassing. He refused to talk to me. The whole
Really?
night he refused to talk to me. Yeah. Because it's just so ugly. Like, how can you fight over ham choy soup, right? It's
Yeah. How did you
girl.
feel? How did you feel when you were like, eating and crying? Did you think that it was weird for you to be crying, or were you just like going with it, the emotion, and just let it out?
No. At that point of the time, my mind was fixated on ham choy soup. So even though when I'm having my mushroom soup and whatever thing I was eating, I know it was mushroom soup, I wasn't satisfied. Girl, when you're pregnant, you cannot be not satisfied. You need to be satisfied with the food that you're eating, right? Um, I think that's the most epic story throughout my whole pregnancy
Okay.
journey.
What happens
I
if
want
you
to
don't
ask.
satisfy? Sorry, yeah.
Go ahead.
What happens if you don't satisfy your like cravings, right? Do you always have to satisfy it every time you crave something? You must get it. If you don't get it, what will happen?
Yeah, so Kuya, that's exactly why I made further research on this craving topic, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out it also partly attributed to your mood swing, how your expectation around people around you to please you during pregnancy. So I wanted to eat this. I could have been fine if I had something else, but I sort of expected my husband to provide it to me. And that plus the hunger plus the mood swing and the expectation, it ballooned out like it was really bad.
So it wasn't the absence of ham choy soup that's making you cry. It was the process.
Everything, babe, everything.
It's like, okay, I have a very, very maybe yucky question. Your vagina after pregnancy.
After
What
I would
happened? What happens there?
Yeah.
Dude, I think not just after, during, it changes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you
Changes
need to
how?
continue to work out your pelvic muscle because as you grow wider at the bottom half of your body,
Oh.
your pelvic become looser, right? So it affects your sex life, it affects how you pee. You know, sometimes when you're pregnant, you walk, and then suddenly you pee a little bit. It's common.
Mm-hmm.
This is common.
Oh.
It's the ugly part of the pregnancy. So, so from what I recognize this because he experienced to me, and I Google it. So it's all about pelvic muscle. I have to tighten it. I have to do a lot of flexibility
Kegel.
exercise. Yeah. That thing. What do you call it
Oh.
again?
Kegel
Kegel.
exercise. Yeah. Do you
Yes,
guys know what it
Kegel
is?
Yeah. It's that. But you
Yeah.
can explain it. You want to explain it?
Are you guys doing it? So Kegel exercise is when you clench your, what's that muscle called? The opening of your
Clean.
vagina. So you clinch and then you let go, clinch and then let go. So
Oh.
it's kind of like flex. And so technically, while we are having this conversation, we can do like Kegel massages
Yeah,
exercise
because
while we're doing it.
it gets saggy. Your vagina gets saggy.
Saggy?
Yes, yes, saggy.
What's a mine too big? How big is
Because you're
vagina?
growing, you're expanding. Every part of you is being expanded.
Okay.
So your skin around vagina is like expanded, and as
And
soon
then
as you deliver, after that, you
you will
sag.
like,
Things like that, yeah.
Wow.
So and
okay.
it affects sex life also because when sometimes you're not in the mood, but then your vagina is, and also your vagina is extremely dry, and then you are horny. You know, when you're pregnant, you are very horny,
Oh.
and all these things will lead to how you're going to have sex. So you have to pivot a little bit. What kind of position that fits you and your little bum there,
Right.
and what
Mm.
how you're going to make out of a better sex with a very dry vagina. So you have to use lubricants. You have to be creative.
I
Wow. Oh.
think what people forget is that when somebody goes through pregnancy, your body goes through trauma. Like the whole thing is something different that's happening, right? And then like somebody is coming out of you. That is traumatic. Your body is
Yeah.
going through traumatic experience, and that's why you have pantang, because pantang is
Yeah.
a way for you to. And pantang is many different. I'm not
Yeah.
promoting one way or the other. There's many different ways
But
to
do you
get
believe
to
in
that.
pantang? Do you guys believe in pantang?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Kuya,
I
I was
think
82 kilo and I lost most of my weight because of pantang. And pantang is not just about your physical health. It's about your inner health. You know about how I said you have to drink your red date
Yeah.
tea to improve your blood circulation, to improve your skin, and the massage will help you. Keep you relaxed a little bit because it's a very intense period, right? Your first
Wow.
month of post delivery, postpartum. And also, I think the sauna help. Like during
Mm.
pantang, you have this portable sauna. It helps you to lose all the water retention that you've been gaining throughout the 9 months.
Wow.
And also, I think it's also about telling yourself that you have to eat clean because you're feeding a baby. Like I'm a breastfeeding mom. I'm still breastfeeding.
Wow.
So yes, I'm still breastfeeding.
Wow.
That's why when you're going through postpartum, pantang is very important so that it helps you to find out what are the things that will make your baby eczema, for example. So you control your food intake so you can find out, you can be able to understand your son or your daughter's health actually.
Wow.
mm,
Amazing. Okay.
But I
okay.
think, well, when you get there, we can dive into this a little bit.
Yes.
No, I already know. Like if I ever get pregnant, like Christine is going to be on my like pinned messages, and I'm just gonna be like asking her multiple different questions. So it's
Yeah,
great
sure.
that you have another friend who went through all that
Yeah.
before you have to go through. Okay, I want to just move to the next part, which is definitely something that all three of us have not had experience before, but will be. And I think this is a section of women's health that gets most ignored by the general
Mhm.
mainstream media, which is menopause.
Mm.
So, what do you guys, let me just go the basic. What do you guys know about menopause? How have you seen it in other women?
Kuya first.
For me, I think my experience with menopause is just from looking at it, looking how my mom experienced her menopause. So it's more of like, I know that she gets, I think the last few years, she's 60 now. I think she's done. I think she menopause already. It's something that she doesn't really talk about. So it's something like,
Exactly, right?
yeah, she
I
doesn't
don't
really
think
talk
people
about.
talk about.
Yeah, and she's just more of like, oh, I think I'm menopausing soon. That's why I'm getting like all these mood swings, and I'm getting a bit grumpy. And she gets like hot flashes, but she didn't really elaborate on like what she's going through. She just said hot flashes, mood swings, and that's it.
Mm, mm.
That's all I know about it. And I know that some of my older bosses as well, they mentioned about hot flashes, but that's about it. That's all I know about menopause.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it has a lot to do with denials because a lot of women wants to continue to think that they are not having menopause or they are not having this they are not in perimenopause stage.
Mm.
But again, I think it's a topic that we should start talking about it so we are all well prepared, right? But
Yeah.
when you asked me yesterday, what about menopause? Have I given this some thought? My first thought is I'm only 31. I still want to have more kids. But then I took the time to understand what is menopause.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
just
we
so
need
that
to be
I know what
prepared.
is it.
We
Yes,
need
we
to be
need to be
prepared. I
prepared.
think there is a void of education about menopause.
Mhm.
You know how in sekolah rendah we have these people come in and teach us about periods before we
Yeah.
got our period,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
then even pregnancy now, there's so many different literature out there. You can go
Yeah.
and help people prepare for pregnancy. But menopause is suddenly like, as a woman, you get help at the start, you get help when you're building a family, and then when you are at the end,
Like,
there's not a
oof.
lot of help. There's
Yep.
not a lot of help. I got interested in menopause actually through Michelle Obama, weirdly enough.
Mm.
I was
Kidding?
listening, yeah, and that kind of like gave me like light bulb. She was saying how Barack Obama, her husband, who is the president, is so well in tune about how his women staff are going through different periods of health, different whatever they're going through in their women's health. So he'll have a group of meeting where it's mostly senior women in senior position but already going through menopause. And there was an incident when Michelle Obama saw one of his staff member started to sweat profusely.
Oh.
And we all know what that is, right? If
Yeah.
an older woman is sweating profusely, more often than not, she is having a hot flash and she's going
Mm.
through menopause.
Mm.
Barack Obama, because he knew this, stopped the meeting and then turned around. Hey, can we switch on the AC a bit?
Oh.
So that immediately, I think, as somebody who's going through menopause, and you see your leader, not just any leader, but also a man leader, take
Yeah.
that step to make sure that you're comfortable because he knows that you're going through menopause. It gave me like a pause because I never paid attention
Mm.
to older women
Mhm.
not older women, more older than me, go through menopause, and I just don't care. And example is my mom.
Mm.
She is very vocal when she was going through
Yeah.
menopause and she's going through the hot flash. And I felt that me and my brother laughed at her for suddenly,
Right.
sweating and suddenly like needing, whenever we go somewhere, we need to make sure there's air conditioning. And it's a jokey laugh thing. Oh, mama is going through menopause. But the denial of it, I think that's a part of it. And also the fact that everybody looks at it as a joke, like how people tell us, oh, PMS ke. You know how
Mm.
marah we get, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine a menopause woman and people are laughing at her going through hot flashes, and it's something that she cannot control
Mm.
because
Yeah.
it's just stuff. Yeah, so I think the awareness of menopause, and also as women, I am really actively trying to see if anybody else requires comfort or just I see you going through it. It's okay. It's okay. So, and the most major thing is what Kristen point out is it doesn't diminish your value as a woman when you get through menopause.
Yeah.
That's essentially how, if any women out there who's feeling that way as they're going into this phase, it doesn't mean your life ends. It doesn't mean that when you stop being able to have kids, that your value or your journey as a woman ends. And that's
Yeah.
the emotional part of menopause that I think there's a lack. And I see how my
Yeah.
mom was going through it, and I just felt bad because that's how I did it. And then now where I am, there's not a lot of help out there. There's not a lot of people talking about this. And at the end of the day, we are all going to go through it.
For
Unless
sure.
we
Yeah, so I
die
guess
before
if
we do
if
it.
if our listeners have mothers, aunties who are going through menopause, it should occur to us that we should provide them with something more comfortable, right? Like make sure the
Mm-hmm.
room is air conditioned,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we don't call for a family gathering out in a public area, like
Mm-hmm.
having a picnic outside, just
Yeah.
have a little bit more awareness about what they're going through. And
And
without telling them, but showing that we care.
we
So
care,
I
yeah.
think, yeah, then
And
they will be able to embrace this journey
Yeah,
it
that's
depends
and
on
they
the
won't have
person
to feel
lah.
so bad. Yeah.
It depends on the person. I would say like with my mom, I could definitely like talk to her about it and say, I
mm,
noticed that you're doing this. How can I help make it better?
mm, mm.
We talk about the hot flash a lot, but the mood swings, just as how when we get our period, we go through
Yeah.
mood swings. Definitely, with menopause,
Yeah.
hormonal balance are also an issue, and you can see that as well. And this again, oh, Mama is going through menopause. I'm so ashamed to say that that's so detrimental
Mm.
for the well-being of the person who's going through it. And I think we need to do a better job of being aware
Educating.
of
Yeah.
what we say. Um, but yeah, okay, we touched about this whole like UPM emotional reaction towards like
Uh-huh.
people who view women issues. Um, and we talk a bit about like how our husband perceive our period, how Christine handles it at work, and then like maybe through menopause. In general, can I ask your opinion? Why is women's health like such a taboo? Why are we so don't really? It's not like talking about I don't know the next
I
iPhone.
don't know. I think it's because it's our cultural norm here.
Yeah.
Like people just don't talk about it. Like growing up in Malaysia, being surrounded with conservative communities and also the non-conservative communities. So not many people can actually talk about this openly.
Okay,
Right.
pause.
Even
So
at
why
home,
pause? Why is women's health equals conservative? Then you
yeah,
live in a
because it's
conservative
dirty.
environment.
Like, okay,
It's dirty.
I grew up in an environment where my mom would say, 你来月经啊,很一点肮脏, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, I cannot pray.
Mm,
To her, is when you're on your period, it's considered dirty, so you cannot pray at the altar and things like that. And this is the common perception everybody have for generations.
correct.
So
Similar.
it's something that we
Yeah.
just don't talk about it.
I think similar for my, because in Islam as well, it's where, yeah, when you're on your period, it's like considered dirty, right? So you can't pray.
Mm,
So when you can't pray and you can't even enter the mosque. So when you're associated
yeah.
by being the word dirty, so it's like something to be ashamed of. So you just don't talk about it because it's
How do
dirty.
you feel
Ah,
about period equals dirty?
I think to an extent, because I think the way my parents taught me was that religion wise is where you are cleansing, right? Like the detoxification process. So when you're eliminating the dirty blood, I feel okay with it because it's a good thing that I'm getting rid of all this toxins or whatever. So I'm comfortable with it being dirty, but because I
Okay.
think I grew up with like male like brothers as well, and we all talk about period like it's okay in our
It was
household. And
open.
it was okay lah.
Okay, just the term dirty blood and just try to like dig more into
Yeah.
your both of your that dirty blood of our period is the same blood that we use when we have a baby to create our baby.
mhm.
Mhm.
That's that
And not
dirty
many
blood
people
that we're
understand. No, people know the
so
sign,
so
this.
yeah. So can we like dive deep into it? We call
Yeah.
it dirty blood and it's something that women need to cleanse from ourselves. But this is the very same blood that is
Yeah.
helping to create new life.
Yeah, I don't see it that way, unfortunately, because I have been, even in my household last time when I have period, I only tell my mom I have period, and
Oh.
it's something that my
Mm.
dad and my brother doesn't really recognize.
Oh.
But
Do you
as
have
I
to
move,
hide your pad or tampons
not,
from?
not not to that extent, but if I'm on my period, I would just tell mama I don't want to go out with them. I just don't have any mood to go out with my dad and my brother to do something. Or if I want to, hide in my room, my mom will not use the excuse that I'm having my period to my brother and my dad. They will just say I'm not feeling well.
I see.
Oh.
So she will
Yeah.
hide for you lah.
Yeah, but it's understandable, guys. I'm from Batu Pahat, so I grew up in Batu Pahat, that
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
suburban little town in Johor. Not many people are very open about it.
Mm.
Okay, we
I
have
think
this
that plays a role. that plays a role in how you talk about it, where your
Yeah.
environment, what's your background. But can I just like revert this back to Kuya again?
Huh?
How was it with your family? I think, you're a Muslim, come from a Muslim
Mm,
background where there is a connotation
mm,
that period is dirty blood.
mm,
And for me personally, I feel like I have internalized that
mm,
as something dirty in my body that I
mm.
need to get out. And now I come to a point where I cannot accept that anymore because I feel like my body is wonderful. I just
Oh,
cannot believe that. Yeah.
okay, okay.
And that's like and also my family is not even that conservative. We're quite
Mm,
liberal.
mm,
But from your point of view,
mm.
from your experience, was period something that was comfortable to be discussed on the dinner table with your dad and your brother
Yeah,
around?
yeah.
And
So
that's okay.
that's like I think in my household, because my mom's like like PMS and her mood swings and everything was quite intense when she's getting her period. So like even when I was a child,
Mm.
before I got my period, I was made aware of period because my mom would tell me I'm on like my period. Then like then I'm just like okay, so I'm gonna get it too. So whenever I'm having cramps or anything, I'll just tell my dad, oh I'm on my period. I'm so tired. I don't want to do this. And he's like, oh, then he will be the one buying me food. I'm like chocolate or whatever when I was younger. And my brothers would do it too. And I'll ask my brothers to go out and get
Mm.
me pet. So that's very like
That's a
yeah,
very good question. Do you
yeah.
get your partners or your boyfriends or
Yes,
your
I do.
dad to get?
Yeah, my
Yeah,
dad
I
gets
definitely
my
have done
pet
it.
too. Yeah.
I've done it as well.
Yeah.
But I think we're lucky. We're one of the lucky
Yeah.
few that is able to talk about this freely in our own home.
Mm,
And not a lot of people do, which is unfortunate because it's like any part of health, right? If you have an accident and you have to go through physiotherapy, that's something that
mm.
you discuss as a family. Women's health, or if something is wrong and you need to go to a gynae, should also be, I think, discussed in a dinner table, and there should not be any taboo about it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a progressive journey. Everybody should start thinking about it. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
because I think as a mother right now, then I understand, like how to control the family conversation. These are very important elements to groom the young leaders, the younger generation. So if we see it as a taboo topic, my kids will see it as a taboo topic,
Mm,
right? So
Correct. You have to lead
yeah.
by
That's
example. Yeah.
That's awesome because you're a parent too, right?
Yeah.
Everything
yeah,
that you
yeah.
do, Xander is looking at
Mm,
you and
agree.
following you.
Yes.
So I'm happy. I'm happy to even end. I'm happy to end this conversation on that note. I think the clear takeaway is we need to talk about it. We
Yeah.
need to normalize it, have conversation, and not be picky about only talking about period blood but not talking about PMS and not talking about menopause. It's all women. It's all about the journey of our body as women and how we are changing.
Yeah. 100%.
Thank you so much
Cool.
for having me today. It's a
Thank
very fun topic.
Awesome. Thank you for having us, and thanks for like getting us
Taking the
prepared
time.
for what pregnancy is going to and
Yeah. Oh
pregnancy
my
is about to happen.
gosh. Yeah.
I'm slightly terrified,
I'm
but I know
super
I got you.
terrified.
I know I got you, Christine. So
It's okay. I'm always here, and don't worry. It's whatever I've just described. It's only 10% of the real thing. So more to come.
Ah!
okay, I think maybe we should do a pregnancy episode, like a
Yeah.
proper drill down into it. All right. With that being said, thanks everyone, and we'll come back soon to another episode of Routine.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Bye.